I've been trying to get to this video all day. Woke up early and just started getting all kinds of realizations and epiphanies about the archetype of Aquarius and how it's been depicted through art in a variety of forums, mostly cards called the tarot. The star card is typically a naked being. This is a PG, or no, this is definitely a G rated. There's nothing, yeah, this is G rated. But the star card is typically depicted something like this. You have a being who, it's eluded, has come from the stars, and this being is pouring water or stardust onto and into the earth. There was so much information coming to me this morning, and it was so dark outside, and it's been storming a lot today, so I was like, I'm not going to do this yet, but here we go. Let's see if there's anything left, and if it's meant to get to you, it will, and if it's not, so be it. So the star card is a depiction of Aquarius and Aquarian type energy. Aquarian type energy does happen cyclically every single year around February, the end of January to February. And this year, Aquarius is featured much more prominently in regards to the energy that we are experiencing because Pluto has moved into Aquarius. Pluto rules the power that's just beyond the liminal space. I've never said this before or thought this before this morning, but it is ruled by Scorpio. Scorpio is numerically and in numerology is the number 0. And that 0 entity is that place between something just being born, and that other place is after something just dies. And in another video, I had mentioned the star card as a tarot card, as an example of Aquarius season. And I had also mentioned the Sun card. Here is a rated G version of the Sun card. So we just experienced about a day ago these two entities at play. They're called an opposition. When there's a full moon in Leo and the sun is in Aquarius, it's called an opposition, but I call it, these two are playing on a teeter-totter. And the purpose of oppositions, or the teeter-totter, is that there's a paradox because these are polar opposite of each other, and yet they share similarities. And the purpose of any paradox is to find the harmony and the balance between the two to solve the paradox. So it occurred to me this morning that the sun is a star. Maybe I heard that somewhere, I don't know, but I feel like it just came to me for the first time this morning. The sun is a star. I actually had to look this up because I was like, wait, the sun is a star? Really? You know, and then I was like asking my, little Echo devices and whatever. Alexa, is this, the computers? Is it? It is. Okay. So it's interesting because let's see if I can just go ahead and get back into it where I was this morning. So the purpose of every paradox is to find the equilibrium and the merging of the two to solve the paradox. And when we solve that paradox, we have entered the next place that we are meant to in order to grow in our stories. So the story of fire and star energy is that they both come from way out there. Leo energy is the biggest of the fire energies that you can get, and Aquarius is the most far out there. Now we have 4 elements that show up in these mysticisms aside from ether. We have water, earth, air, and fire. Each of these elements has a part that is the deepest. So for example, we're about to go into Pisces. We've just had our North Node go into Pisces. Pisces is the deepest, far out of all the water signs. It's the depths of the sea. Aquarius is the furthest out of all the air signs. So far out that it's beyond our atmosphere, well beyond our atmosphere. It's even further away a lot of times than the sun, hopefully. So here is the thing about both the sun and the star. To see the sun and to see the star, they're both stars. When we see them, it's because they are burning out. They are getting to that place of the universe is constantly expanding, and they are reaching their mass expansion to the point where they are surrendering to the explosion. And the explosion is what we see from our planet. And we thrive off of it. The sun, without the sun, nothing on earth would grow. And when things are growing, they are growing towards the sun. So even though the sun is dying, and that's why it gives off the heat that it gives, and it can take a long time for these, like according to our reality here on this planet Earth, it can take a while. And that's why we get to see these things on a regular basis. But we're seeing them because they're bright enough. And they're bright enough because they're reaching towards the end. So the Aquarius is a little bit more about birthing, the birthing process that happens in that liminal space of Pluto. So Pluto being the liminal space energy, and we just had Aquarius move into Pluto. Pluto rules 0, rules Scorpio. It rules the life process. Freud said that we have 2 drives as humans. The drive for death or the drive for life. He called it something else that I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say, if I can say the word on social media. But basically the drive for creation, however that happens, and the drive for death. The thing about it is that both of those are the same. When a baby is born, a mother is giving up, sacrificing a bit of her life for that child to be born. When the sun is making plants grow, it's giving off itself. It's giving off itself so much that it can even have more of itself be on Earth. We can have fire on Earth. And that is because of the energy of the sun that we can do that. But we can also have plants grow towards the sun. So the life is even moving towards death. And even death is life-giving. So we have with this Pisces North Node, it has a lot to do with spirituality. Tomorrow we have an aspect where Mercury is going to be going into Pisces as well. So things are about to get super foggy. And Pisces has, it can be very spiritual, and it can also rule the type of spirituality that has to do with self-sacrifice. The thing about it is that in the most natural order of things, the sun is not feeling like it's put out by making plants grow or by having itself recreated here on the earth. The star does not feel put out that it makes up who we are. We are all made of star matter. We all have this in us, and we all have water in us as well. Whether she's pouring out stardust or water, same thing, we all have it. When this energy, which is us, comes down here onto this planet, we come here for the purpose of having a human experience. So the back of this card shows, it gets a little more literal in the sense that it says, here is man. It kind of reminds me of like Starman from the David Bowie song. But the literal sense of this is that we are here to be having this human experience, and this human experience, it has to do with playing with feelings and having feelings and experiencing the feelings and all the things that have to do with the feelings. So in the natural order of things, when the Piscean surrender, in the alchemical process, surrender is part of alchemy. But when the sea surrenders to the sky to create water, to make plants grow, it doesn't feel put out. In fact, I almost sense, I do sense, I feel that I know this, but it's almost a relief. It can be ecstatic to some degree. Imagine the weight of the sea and the deep depths of the sea, and being lifted, having part of you lifted up into the air, and then utilized and alchemized, and then brought back down in the form of rain. How fun. What a wonderful experience. The purpose of this existence is to alchemize, is to expand, is to move on to the next story, beyond the element that the ego identifies with, into another element that the ego did not previously identify as, that may seem really far out there, but in essence, everything's connected. They are both stars. So we're about to go into more energy of Pisces in about a week, and collectively I'm sensing that people are going to be feeling like they've really been victimized. And this is the World card, and it reminds me very much of water when it pulls up from a body of water, when air pulls it up and it's about to alchemize it to turn it into rain. It's a very rainy day today. My point is that Pisces energy can bring up this sense of self-sacrifice, and the natural order of things is that beyond the human ego, which is feelings, it is normal and natural to surrender into what comes next. And another thing that I had said in another post was, this applies to both Aquarius energy, which is right now, and Piscean energy, which is up and coming for the next month, is about dreams. Remember your dream. Remember why you alchemized in the form of stardust and water to be here on this planet, and what your purpose is in regards to following your heart. Stay in touch with that. Don't forget it. Write it down today before Valentine's Day. Write it down tonight, or write it down whenever you get this. That might be the moment. Write down, if it happens that you get this during the time of Pisces, and maybe, you know, it's super a foggy time, because Piscean energy can be cloudy, like rain clouds, and like today in my home, like all the windows and mirrors are full of fog. You would think I live in Florida, but it's not. Like, I don't live a place that's like that, but it's like that today. Don't forget what you really want. Don't compromise. Aquarius is here to go for it. You know, like, people on Earth, they call people in the entertainment industry that have made it big, they call them stars. And the thing about stars is that you don't always see them. They would not exist if it wasn't for the dark, because they literally exist in the mind frame and human experience of being viewed. They are zillions of years away. They're not even at the same moment in time as we are. But when we look at a star, or we look towards the sun, don't look at the sun with your bare eyes. Just don't do that. There's no bueno. Don't do that. But when we look towards these fiery elements that are in the sky and outer space, we are quantumly entangled with that. But the thing about it is, these things, these light beings that are burning out, that are coming to their end, that are maybe aging out at 40, if they're in the TV industry, who knows? You know, whatever it is, everything eventually does expand to the point where it ends. The universe is constantly expanding, and stars do explode and end and create new elements and new stars, because the universe is constantly expanding. But the light is there for us to see, and that's what it is, because we've named it so. And to overly identify with just one entity, whether that be the fiery sunshine of Leo, or whether that be the more elusive, only seen in the dark Aquarius type energy that burns a little more in appearance dimly, and not for lack of knowing, but as a reflection of all that is yet to be known. It's all a projection. It's all a projection of what it is to us. Stars, movie stars, are there for our entertainment. Sad but true. Do they get to have a personal life? Not usually. Maybe if they're super lucky, but especially if they were born into the industry, their life purpose is to serve us in that way, and hopefully they're happy doing so. Maybe that is what they came down here to do. And, you know, maybe some of them were very happy that way. In the natural order of things, beyond the earthly ego, there isn't a sense of being put out for what comes next. This is the World card, and it's often portrayed as Earth. Oh, I haven't. There you go. It's usually portrayed as the planet Earth. I want to give you another example of a paradox. So we have fire, the biggest fire that exists, which would be the Leo archetype. let's talk about the Pisces North Node and the Piscean energy that we're about to go into. Pisces is the deepest water. So you have this super fiery heat that exists as the sun, and it can do all these cool things. It can crackle, it can make itself appear in other places like Earth, and it can have people gather around it and sing songs, and it can warm people. It can destroy if it gets involved with air. It can be destructive, or it can be creative. It can burn down enough things to help other things grow. It can make things grow from being far away. There's all these things that the sun can do, and it's very much involved on a face-to-face basis with humanity. Then you have the deepest, most far out water. So that's the Piscean energy. Now, Piscean energy, they will say, is ungrounded, and the truth of the matter is that the depths of the sea is the deepest parts of the earth. So to know and navigate the deepest parts of the earth, even if it's underwater, is more grounding. It's more grounded. It is why we are here, is to be on earth and in earth. It is the even more grounding than any air. Anyone who is overly identified with air or fire or earth could ever imagine. But that is not to be known, because we are made of star matter, and we came from other places other than here because we are made of star matter. And this is not all that always existed. And we were born here, and we will return to death. So part of ourselves will be here, but another part of ourselves will flitter off into the universe and become more of star matter and reignite itself in another way somewhere else in time. And the point of me saying that is that I lost my train of thought. Well, so we're going to be reborn, yada, yada. Oh, so we've got Leo energy, the biggest fire. And we've got the depths of the ocean, which is really very grounded. But water energy, it doesn't bring a bunch of people around it to sing songs. It doesn't necessarily make things grow from a distance. It has to be like kind of captured and brought over to the thing, or it has to be lifted up from itself, and it has to kind of like surrender to turn into rain. And water element, it's got its own wavelength in the sense of it can be very much similar to the star in a way, which is air, which is way out there, that, you know, you only see it when you look at it, and you only see it when it's dark, and you only see it if you're looking. Water is even more far out than that. It's like you only see it if you're willing to dive down into it. Water is where all life begins on Earth. And it does not easily alchemize with others or with other things. So when you combine this extreme fire with this extreme water, what you get when you combine those two is lava. The water and the fire come together, and they are lifted up. And when they come together, they create this other element that's not part of the four elements, but it is sort of, which is iron. When air decides to join them, we get new earth. So a lot of fire and a lot of water, people would think that those are opposite energies, but when they combine to resolve the paradox, they create new earth. And in that new earth, you have these green sprouts that are growing towards the sun, which is dying, but at the same time making things grow. So we have a lot of division that we're noticing in the world around us these days. And emotionally, we are here to feel what that feels like with our egos. And we are not here so much to just be like, this is the natural order of things, and we're gonna surrender into something else, and it's gonna be that. We are here to identify with our earthly experience and decide where we stand in our earthly experience and decide how we grow on this planet for the purpose of being here. A lot of indigenous cultures around the world, part of the language was, instead of saying, I am by the ocean, we said, I am the ocean. Instead of saying, I am by the tree, it was, I am the tree. Language evolved to become more egocentric and more individualized and separate from everything as a whole and the connectedness in all things, which is, in a sense, sort of like Aquarian energy. It's remembering Aquarian energy isn't so much about individuality. It seems like that at first, but what it is about, it's about remembering that we are all star matter. We all come from water. We all will return to dust. Everything is connected. Piscean energy is, people will say it's delusional, they'll say it's victim making, they'll say that it's spacey, yada yada. The water is the most natural mirror that exists on this planet, other than iron. But iron is used, the nitrates in iron is used as ash to create fertile ground. So it's not being used to necessarily reflect humanity as it is reflecting the rest of the universe, that, the grounds that we live on. But water, it's just reflecting. They say Pisces has been all the things already. It's been earth, it's been air, it's been fire, it's been water, it's been all the 12 other archetypical signs. And that's because it has been, and how everyone sees Pisces is as a mirror of what it is that they feel most shame about. But the thing about it is there's nothing to be ashamed of. Like this is depicted as nudity for a reason. It's not actually naked on this card, but that is to represent that there's nothing to be ashamed of. Seeing a reflection of something that we don't want to see inside of us or be aware of us inside of us, it doesn't have to be something to be ashamed of. It can be something that we can look at and say, oh, that's a part of me too. Just like the sun and the star are both stars. Just like they're part of the same teeter-totter. Just like Virgo and Pisces are polar, they say they're polar opposites, but the truth is that Pisces is the deepest earth that there can be, even though it's another element too, which is water. It is where life begins, and it has access to the deepest levels of ground. It has been earth time and time again. It has been earth and water again and again. Earth Virgo being on that same teeter-totter or that polar opposite, bringing the two together, it's the recognition that they are the same as much as they are not. And that is the message for the challenges and the hardships, because in a universe that's constantly expanding and in a life that's constantly expanding, our egos, our feelings, our minds, our human experience is just incredibly unsettled by this. Even though it's the natural order of things, even though we are here to develop and to eventually die, and we are here to be born again and again and again, it is terrifying to some degrees. People want to hear that everything's going to be okay. And the answer to that is about surrender. I'm not saying don't stand up for or fight for what you know you want and what is right. Don't take a stand. That would be to not live. And that's exactly why we are here, is to live and to be a part of this experience and to identify with what we choose to identify with, or what we are born into identifying with. I'm not saying be disconnected, but I am saying that there can be a sense of ecstasy to some degree, to surrender and be pulled into what is next. On the same token, if we remember what we came here for, if we remember the connectedness in all things, and that as different as things can appear, they can also be the same, even though they're called something different. If we can remember that on a physical level as we are surrendering, it can feel like a little bit more like this, even though at the same time, where's that Tower card? We have a Tower card in here. Well, the Tower card is basically a tower that's kind of like on fire and it's crumbling and yada yada. That would be the old paradigm. Pluto was in Capricorn for so long, and it was all about structure and building things up. Well, in that card, with the tower being on fire and it's crumbling, that is kind of the felt sense of the humans that are on this planet that they're experiencing, is the old paradigms are crumbling, and it can be felt that way, or we can surrender to it. So you can just imagine what that card looks like. It's not coming up for me to show you right now because I don't think you really need to see it, because you're probably feeling it everywhere. And just like letting go a little, recognizing that there can still be a purpose in all things. The people who have made it through, even if there are hardships to come and atrocities, worst case scenarios, the people who survived that are the people who didn't forget their dream, what they were living for, their North Star, what their purpose was, and also recognize their usefulness. Their usefulness, not youthfulness, usefulness. recognizing their usefulness, even if they feel like they're out of their element, just like water when it's lifted up by air. I'm sure water feels like, what's going on? I was just so dense and moving a lot in my density, and now what's going on? I'm being lifted, and then I'm going to come back down in this rain. You know, that is accepting that we can alchemize and have another purpose that we never even imagined is harder to do for some than others, or so we think. We might say that it would be really hard for a Taurus because they're the most earth of all the earths, all the other 3 earth archetypes, and they are known for being stubborn and stuck and never changing and all of these things, but it's not true, because earth does change. We have earthquakes. Earth is constantly growing. It's constantly crumbling off into the sea. Parts of earth are lifted up, like dust is constantly being moved by air. So things are not always as they appear to be. You know, and here we have, and this is the other side of the Leo, the sun, and we have this type of obelisk in the background. And this is very much like the narrative of, like, when you think about all that fire and all that earth coming together, it does create new earth. This isn't a tower that's crumbling. So yeah, that's all I got. And I feel like I'm going to put it out there. And happy Valentine's Day, which might mean different things to different people. But I really do want to share this song with you that I learned recently. And it's very short and simple and sweet. And I've just been singing it to myself all day long, because our capacity to have kindness and allowance and love and tolerance and acceptance of others is determined by how we're able to do that for ourselves. So here it is. Help me fall in love over and over again. Help me. Hold on. It's help me love myself over and over again with myself. Help me forgive the parts I cannot seem to help. Help me love my roughness like I love that tree. Help me love my depths like I love the sea. Help me fall in love over and over again. Help me fall in love over and over again with myself. Help me forgive the parts I am not able to help. Help me love my roughness like I love that tree. Help me love my depths like I love the sea. Help me fall in love over and over again. It's a song written by someone called Sarah McEwen, and it's about loving ourselves and loving ourselves over and over again, and how we can love ourselves like we can love the tree bark. We can love ourselves like we can love the depths of ourselves, instead of somebody being like, you're too much, you're delusional, you're too victimy, you're blah, 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 all the things that they project. We can love our depths like we love the sea. Who doesn't love the sea? Who doesn't love the tree? So just as we can love anything around us and anyone, we can love ourselves. So let us be helped with loving ourselves over and over again. Happy Valentine's Day in Aquarius, with going into this Piscean energy and coming off of this full fiery full moon in Leo.